What's up, guys? Welcome to this channel once again. If you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe, like, share this video, and leave your sweet comment. To my channel subscribers, thank you for always supporting me, taking your time coming back to watch my videos.
At the center of all this is John Luke Evans. He's a recently hired summer reserve police officer in Old Orchard Beach. The Department of Homeland Security says Evans is an illegal immigrant from Jamaica who overstayed his visa when he flew into Miami in September of 2023. Homeland Security says the ATF flagged Evans when he tried to buy a firearm, which he was planning to use as a police officer. He was then taken into custody by ICE, where he remains. Patricia Hyde, the field office director for ICE Boston, blasting the OOB Police Department, writing in part, quote, "The fact that a police department would hire an illegal alien and unlawfully issue him a firearm while on duty would be comical if it weren't so tragic. We have a police department that was knowingly breaking the very law they are charged with enforcing in order to employ an illegal alien," end quote.
So in the video that you have seen, guys, that is a Jamaican who was a cop, and he was demoted from his position.
Tonight, the Old Orchard Beach police chief issuing a response saying the Department of Homeland Security signed off on Officer Evans' right to work. Chief Elise Shard writes, quote, "As part of the hiring process, the town reviewed multiple forms of identification, including photo identification, and submitted Evans' I-9 form to the Department of Homeland Security's E-Verify program. The Department of Homeland Security then verified that Evans was authorized to work in the U.S. The form was submitted and approved by DHS on May 12, 2025, end quote. They also claim he is authorized to work in the United States until the year 2030.
Employment systems like E-Verify are not foolproof, and they require oversight. A case like the one of Evans. Evans, it is said, he entered and was verified, went through all the sieves, and here he is, ICE being demoting him, and maybe he will be deported back. We don't know, but this tells you that there is something wrong with the system still. It is not fully foolproof. It's not 100% working, and something should be done. Also, they should reconsider this. Some of these policies. They should look at the track record of some of these police officers, especially like Evans, because if their track record has been a good track record, there's no need of demoting them, and they have really worked hard. They have toiled for some years, even though they didn't. There was just like an issue or a problem during their entry or in their documentation. It's not good to just do away with them. Something can be found on how to reintroduce them to the system. Also, another lesson is that Black immigrants face dual challenges: racial bias and immigration scrutiny, unlike other people. So there are some people who will argue that maybe there could be a number of white people who maybe have the same issue with Evans, but because Evans is black, he is from the black community, is from Jamaica, and he has roots in Africa. Maybe they are racially discriminating him with bias, because maybe there are some who have the same issue with just like Evans, and they are treating Evans unfairly at the expense of others. They are leaving others and treating Evans not the same way as the other people. Another thing that from this is that community awareness is a very key or an important aspect that should be incorporated into our society.
At the center of all this is John Luke Evans. He's a recently hired summer reserve police officer in Old Orchard Beach. The Department of Homeland Security says Evans is an illegal immigrant from Jamaica who overstayed his visa when he flew into Miami in September of 2023.
In the quiet town of Bedford, Maine, a story unfolded that rippled far beyond its borders. That was on the 25th July 2025 this year. John Luke Evans, a Jamaican national serving as a reserve police officer in the nearby Old Orchard Beach Police Department. He was arrested by the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. His alleged visa overstay and attempt to purchase a firearm illegally raised questions not only about immigration enforcement, but also about the deeper historical journey of Africans and Jamaicans in the United States. Let's look at the snapshot or the synopsis of his arrest. So Evans entered the United States legally, not illegally, but legally in September 2023. That is like 2 years ago. But he overstayed his visa. He was hired as a seasonal officer, a common practice in tourist-heavy towns, so that they tend to help in ensuring that the safety of the tourists that are there. ICE claims that he was unauthorized to work and that the department knowingly employed an undocumented immigrant. The police department insists Evans passed federal checks, including E-Verify, and they were unaware of any violations. This incident sparked debate over immigration vetting, employment protocols, and the intersection of law enforcement and immigration law. Because with the United States, most of the federal employees are highly vetted, and with all these security measures in place, it's very hard for one to be employed as a ghost worker or illegally. So to understand this, the significance of the story of Evans, it's good to look at the journey back into years ago. We'll go up to 17th century, the slavery period. It is around the 17th century when the enslaved Africans arrived in Virginia in the year 1619. Over the next 2 centuries, nearly 430,000 Africans were forcibly brought to what is now the United States. They built the backbone of the American economy, working in fields, mines, and homes, while enduring unimaginable hardship. Slavery was abolished in 1865, but systematic racism persisted through Jim Crow laws, disenfranchisement, and segregation. The Great Migration, 1916 to 1970, saw over 6 million African Americans move from the South to the northern cities in search of opportunity. The civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s, led by figures like Martin Luther King Jr., fought for equality and justice, culminating in landmark legislation like the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Today, African Americans continue to shape American culture, politics, and society, while still confronting the legacies of inequality. Also, there is a relationship between Jamaicans, Americans, and Africans. Jamaicans began to arrive in the United States in significant numbers in the early 20th century, often recruited for labor projects like the Panama Canal. During both World Wars, Jamaican men were enlisted to serve on American bases. Immigration surged again during the civil rights era, with many Jamaicans settling in. They settled in New York, Florida, and Connecticut. Jamaican Americans are predominantly of Afro-Caribbean descent, sharing cultural and ancestral ties with African Americans. Despite facing discrimination, they have contributed richly to American life, especially in music, sports, and public service. Notable Jamaican Americans include Colin Powell and Patrick Ewing. Jamaican immigrants often assimilate into the broader Black community, making their unique stories harder to trace but no less impactful. Why this case matters? Evans' arrest is not just about immigration paperwork. It's about the complex identity of Black immigrants in America. There's even one Jamaican who was born recently. I did a video about him. He was born in a camp, in a fighting camp away from America, away from United States. But the guy was taken to Jamaica because he is stateless. Because his father was a Jamaican, his mother was a Kenyan from Africa, but he was not born in the United States. And the life of this guy was always in crime. So he ended up being deported to Jamaica. So these are just some of the few cases of the Black immigrants, the complex identity of some of these Black immigrants. I'm not saying all of them, but just a few of them. This raises a lot of questions like, how do we define belonging in a country built by immigrants and enslaved people. This story is a modern chapter in a centuries-long narrative of resilience, migration, and identity. From the slave ships of the 1600s to the police cruisers of Maine, the journey of Africans and Jamaicans in America continues to evolve, marked by triumphs, trials, and the enduring pursuit of justice. Thank you so much for sending to this channel. If you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe. To my 10 subscribers, thank you for always supporting me, coming back to watch my videos. Until next time, Jah bless.